place. We're going to have a better country, a better state. How many agree with me that the past 3 years has been a disaster for Alaska? How many agree with me that the last 3 years has just been basically it's been a nightmare that we've got to get out of? Okay? So we have one more year of Bill Walker as governor. That experiment has failed. Okay, that's a failed experiment in what he's tried to do. Now, we can't stand here. I almost feel like standing up here, so I'm taller. We can't stand here. I've never had that issue.
Don't jump.
We can't sit here today and say that the drop in oil prices was Bill Walker's fault. We can't do that. However, his policies in dealing with that have been a disaster. And we can go through a whole list, for example. We now lead the country in violent crimes, by far. Alaska does. It surpassed Louisiana. We know that we've set a record in Anchorage 2 years in a row in murder rates. We know that each and every one of us, for the first time in the history of Alaska, are changing our behaviors because of crime. We're getting cameras. We're locking our doors when we never locked them before. We are getting dogs. We are carrying guns. This is a watershed moment for Alaska, and it doesn't have to be. We have plenty of money in the budget if we allocate it the right way. This past year, I introduced in the Senate 20 senators, Republicans and Democrats, agreed to move $50 million out of an LNG project that some of us questioned into public safety, into schools, into prosecuting attorneys. That failed. He didn't want that to happen. We could do better, and we're going to do better. We look at our economy. Right now, oil's at $68 a barrel, yet Bill Walker still wants to tax you. Oil's at $68 a barrel, yet Bill Walker still wants to take money from your permanent fund. We don't need to do this. He's done very little at trying to reduce the size of government. That's probably the biggest hoax perpetrated upon Alaskans, I think, in the last 3 years. He's not vetoed hardly anything, okay? He's not put forward budgets that match revenues. He's not done these things, but he wants you to believe that we have to take your money to make this government survive. It's as if he's forgotten about the people of Alaska. I was up in Glen Allen. The restaurants are closed in the wintertime now. There was a time when Glen Allen's restaurants were open all year long. I was up in Willow the other night. Willow Trading Post is closed. The Houston Lodge just closed, okay? Now the population of Alaska is greater now than it ever has been. Why is this happening? Because of the economy, because of the uncertainty people believe is happening here in this state now under this current administration. So why do I want to run for governor? I want to fix this problem. These are policy problems. We have plenty of oil. We have plenty of minerals. I think it was Senator Meyer mentioned the timber industry. Alaska has 1/7 of the country's timber reserves. 1/7. We have no timber industry. We have no timber industry at all. Cambodia and Vietnam, if there's a report on Bloomberg that came out last week, Vietnam exported billions of dollars worth of timber. Their country is tiny compared to the state of Alaska. They don't have the reserves we do. The reason we're not logging and the reason we don't have a timber industry is because of policy. That's it, okay? We have more oil discoveries on the slope. Obviously, we've seen them. We've seen it in the paper. We know we do. We have billions of barrels of oil up there. We've got to get that oil in the pipeline. We don't need to take your money. We don't need to take your money in taxes or permanent fund. We can have a safer state. We can have a state with a lot of hope, and that's what I want to bring to Juneau. I've been a senator for the past 5 years, worked with a number of folks. We've tried to reduce this budget. The governor's fought us. For example, he came out with a budget here recently in which he says he's cut the budget 44% again. Look at the budget. He's increased the budget. He's not put a hard freeze on hires. He's not put a hard freeze on travel. He's not done any of these things he said. He's telling you in order to convince you to open up your pockets and give him the money. And the only way we're going to get this government under control is by your help. As governor, we're going to be introducing an appropriation limit. We have one on the books since 1981. It was reaffirmed in 1986. It's a constitutional appropriation limit. The problem is that appropriation limit, the incline in spend was so steep that we have to bring that spend down to about $5 billion. You guys have to box us in. If you don't, we have no controls on this government, and we will be coming for your money. We have to constitutionalize the PFD. It's not welfare. It's not welfare. Every October, we announce that there is a dividend given to the people of Alaska. And the reason we do this, and I know there's differences of opinion on the PFD, but the reason we do this is you cannot drill for oil under your land. The state of Alaska, the Constitution, and the Statehood Act prohibits that from happening. So how do you partake in the royalty? This is the only way you can do it. The other reason you don't want the PFD to go away is if that PFD goes away and you're not the watchdogs to that fund goes away. If you look at the graphs in which Alaska has gotten money from from oil revenue, we've spent it all. We hardly have any money left except for the permanent fund. And unless you folks were there watching it, we would have spent it. So we're going to be asking your help to guard the permanent fund, guard the PFD, work with the appropriation limit, and we're probably going to be introducing a bill also to act as Colorado does, in as much as Colorado will not impose a tax on its people unless the people of Colorado agree to that tax. As a result, Colorado was named by U.S. News and World Report in July of 2017 as having the best economy in the country. Why? All these high-tech firms are going to Colorado because they know they have certainty in taxes. They know they're not going to be pillaged by the government. When they set down concrete, they bring their businesses in there. As a result, Colorado is booming. So I want to leave you with the idea that there's a lot of hope in Alaska. We have a lot of oil, a lot of minerals, a lot of timber. We have a lot of good people, but you need somebody in jail in the governor's seat and knows how to put policy in place to make this happen. So with that, I want to thank you. Hopefully you'll have a successful district convention, and look forward to talking with you. Thank you.